One of the 7 countries included in President Trump's executive order temporarily banning travel to the United States for 7 Muslim-majority countries is Somalia. In this country, Minnesota is home to the greatest number of Somalis refugees. Last year alone, more than 1,400 Somali refugees moved to Minneapolis. In November, Representative Ilhan Omar became the first Somali-American lawmaker ever when she won the election to represent Minnesota's Cedar Riverside neighborhood that is right outside of Minneapolis. She's a refugee who fled Somalia from Minnesota in 1995. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Poppy.
Obviously, I've been tracking your candidacy and your election because it's in my home state of Minnesota, and you certainly made national headlines for this. I want to first get your reaction to Somalia being included in President Trump's executive order banning this travel and what it means for your constituents.
Yeah. I think I'm a little disheartened and disappointed to see Somalia included. As you said, I am a refugee from Somalia. I'm also half Yemeni, so both of those countries are included in this Muslim ban. And, you know, it's really disappointing to see our country fighting against its own ideals of, you know, being a country that is supposed to be welcoming to everyone.
What are your constituents saying to you? Because I would assume that many of them have family in Somalia, some coming, hoping to have that family come join them in Minnesota.
A lot of my constituents and Somali members of the community are confused, scared, and are trying to make sense of what this means. They know that they go through an extreme vetting process to make their way here. I was just having a conversation yesterday with a friend of mine who lives in St. Cloud, Minnesota. His wife has been going through the process of relocation for 3 years in Somalia, and she's just gotten the clearance to come here. And now he knows that she, you know, won't be able to join him, and we are allowing our country to divide families. This ban makes it hard for families that have done everything possible legally that they could do to be reunited with their families.
I should note, if this ban were in place when you were in a refugee camp, you may not have been admitted to the United States and may never have become and made history becoming the lawmaker that you now are. But I do want to get your take on the opposite side of this argument. Let's listen for a moment to what the president said on the campaign trail when he was running at a rally in Minnesota.
Here in Minnesota, you've seen firsthand the problems caused with faulty refugee vetting, with large numbers of Somali refugees coming into your state without your knowledge, without your support or approval, and with some of them then joining ISIS and spreading their extremist views all over our country and all over the world.
As you well know, Minnesota has struggled to combat the spread of radicalization among some Somali youth there. First, it was al-Shabaab that was recruiting in Minnesota. Now it's ISIS. I've been there. I've reported on it firsthand. In September, a young Somali man stabbed 10 people at that mall in northern Minnesota, for example, and the feds investigated it as an act of terrorism. Does President Trump have a point?
It is important for us to remember that extremism and terrorism doesn't have a nation, it doesn't have a religion. And it is also really important for us to point out that, you know, some of the perpetrators of 9/11, the countries that they come from, are not included in this ban. So
none of them.
What we are doing right now is we're exploiting, we are exploiting the ignorance of some parts of our communities and the fears that they might have of a faith that they don't understand, and neighbors that they haven't taken a chance to learn the struggles and the processes that they've gone through to get here. It is also important for us to remember that many of the people that are many of the countries that are included in this ban are countries that have been going through a civil war, some countries that are fighting and have successfully been able to trample a dictatorship. And we have aided and abetted them in the guise of trying to further democracy in the world. For us now to turn our backs on them and for us to say it is okay for us to get you in the mess that we've gotten you in, but now we are not going to welcome you and we're not going to help you get the opportunities that our forefathers have gotten in the United States. It's a shame, and I am saddened by that. Many of our community members here in Minnesota, regardless of what background they have, are saddened by the turn of events that we are witnessing here in our country. I was just talking to someone here in the studio who was telling me about her great-grandfather who is Irish and came to this country because of famine and hunger. And we know that the current refugees in Somalia are fleeing the country because there is famine and drought. And so it is important for us to understand and make the clear connections and know that it is not because we have a faulty vetting system. It is not that we are facing a domestic threat from people from these countries, but it is for us to be duped into campaign rhetoric and divisive and hateful messaging that is supposed to divide us. And we as a country should celebrate our diversity and continue to fight for the unity we believe we should have.
Representative, before I let you go, I've been wanting to have you on this program for a long time, even before this news broke, and obviously I want your take on that, as we just discussed, but also just your personal story. I mean, 20 years ago, when you were sitting in Kenya in a refugee camp, did you ever believe that you'd be able to come to the United States at the age of 12, first to Virginia, then Minnesota, at the age of 14, get involved in local politics, and then make history, becoming the first Somali American lawmaker in the country?
Actually, more than ever today, I've been thinking about that. I've been thinking about the young girls that are sitting in a refugee camp in Dadaab and the young girls who are sitting in refugee camps throughout the world, waiting for their second chance, for the opportunity to truly fulfill all of their dreams. And for me, when I was 8 years old, for those 4 years before I arrived in the U.S., I couldn't imagine what my life would become. And now I have gotten the opportunity to come here to get full education, to be able to have kids here and be a productive member of our society, and now have the privilege and the opportunity to be a lawmaker in our wonderful state in Minnesota and to contribute positively. Is an opportunity, and it is the example of what it means when we give people second chances. And that is what a lot of these refugees are looking for, what a lot of these immigrants that are arriving in our country are looking for. They are just looking for that second chance, that opportunity to live a happy life where they have liberty and justice.
Representative Omar, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for talking about this and raising the conscience of our community members.
All the best.